There is nothing which is wrong with the country that a new government cannot fix. It is time for a new start, a fresh beginning, new direction, people-centered leadership. That's why Team Unity Dominica introduces the Clean Slate, a new political direction for the current political era. The Clean Slate, an idea built on new and progressive energies based on what is best for Dominica and Dominicans. The Clean Slate, the platform for a new and progressive political coalition. The Clean Slate, uniting the partisan colors with a message of renewal and hope.
Happy Independence, everybody. Happy Independence, Petra.
Happy
How are you
Independence.
doing? I mean, it's
I am good. And you? How was your independence in Dominica since you were
well,
right?
it's still going on. It's still going on right now, and we currently the bands on the road in town. Post the today was community service day, so
Yeah.
Dominicans from generally around the island participated in various forms of community service. And at the end of the day, there's the carnival-like celebration for those who are joining us now and wondering what am I talking about. But the bands are on the road right now. I saw through various persons' WhatsApp statuses, Triple K is on the road, and I'm
Okay.
assuming Signal Band. Mr. Rich said he was going to do it, but unfortunately he could not make it. He said he's having flight issues, so he could not make it.
Okay.
Anyhow, I hope everybody has had a wonderful independence. I'm assuming Petra, you enjoyed the well from a distance.
Yeah, from a distance, I'm enjoying my independence from a distance, but that's how it is sometimes. But before we go on, I just want to say hats out to all the Dominicans who show up for the community service today, especially in my community, Capuchin. I saw a lot of young people were out today. They were doing some project by the home of one of the elders in the community, doing a
Right,
pathway for him. And so I just want to shout them and say, good guys, keep the community spirit going. Don't give up on helping others in the time that we put aside to show love to each other. So,
right, correct. While we're at it, let's give a shout out to the rest of the communities or around the island who did their duty in whatever way, shape, or form. I saw persons were building bus stops. We had various sidewalks being repaired. We had
yeah.
some vegetation management and so on and so on. The list goes on. So there's a lot more work to be done in the country, but what we can do, we do. We just compliment those who did their duty today.
Yes, we do.
In today's episode, we're supposed to be talking on the Dominica shareholders. Who are the Dominica shareholders, Petra? And this is a topic that I know is right up your alley. You have been reading a lot more on it. Although I have a fair idea, but
Yes.
I think you should take the lead a little bit on that. So let's talk a bit on the topic. Who are the Dominica shareholders? And folks, stay tuned. We will be looking at the international politics because today, as a matter of fact, a few moments ago, the first poll districts would have been closed,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking results will be coming from the U.S. general elections. And for this, we will be joined by our General Secretary, political scientist, Professor Alex Bruno.
Yes. Yes.
He will tell us a bit more on that and give us a little insight on the electoral college. How does it work? How it compares to our political system in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
and so on and so forth. But so let's go with it, Sister Petra.
Okay, so people may ask when they hear shareholders, they may be some surprised. Why are we speaking about shareholders from Dominica? Who's
Are you
Dominica
talking about a
shareholders?
business? Are you talking about a business?
Well, Dominica is run as a business. People, first of all, we have to see Dominica being run. The governance of Dominica is the same way that you run a corporation.
Mm-hmm.
So, who are the shareholders of Dominica? And so, the answer to that question is the shareholders of Dominica are any person, any citizen in Dominica that is above the age of 18. We call the shareholders voters.
Okay.
They have the right to choose who they want to govern the business of Dominica. So they
So
are the
they
shareholders.
so they have the right to hire and fire.
Yes, the Dominica is the governance of Dominica is just as any corporation. So you have those large corporations, you have the shareholders deciding who should be the CEO, who should be the board of on the board of directors, the executive members, and then you have the workers in
Right.
the just the workers of the corporation,
Right.
and they are governed by the executive directors, the CEO, and so forth. So the shareholders are very important because the shareholders, um, they the one they ask for accountability, they ask for transparency, because you have
Um,
to tell the shareholders, hey, how you running their company, how the profit, how much profit you make, who is benefiting from the profits. You have to be able to give an account of these things for the corporation. And so is Dominica as well. Dominica is being run the same way.
so in other words, Petra, they're looking for a return on their investment.
Exactly. So the shareholders put the body together to govern the whole business, everything, every aspect of it. And so at the end of every year, that's why you will hear in big corporation, you will have they have yearly meetings where they come together, the shareholders come, they give a printout of the financials of the business. The shareholders have a time to go through the financials, see if it's profitable, if it's running at profitability. If not, they ask questions of how we can improve this or we can do this. And then the board of directors have to give an answer as to, hey, why this is happening, because they are there on the day-to-day running of the corporation.
Right, right, right. So in terms of that, folks, she is equating the board of directors to any government or the parliament,
Yes, that's
the
running
persons
the
who we
that governing the
elect,
country.
who the shareholders or the voters elect to represent their various constituencies.
Exactly. So we have the shareholders, and so the shareholders now, if you're born, once you're born in Dominica, you automatically your rights. You're only eligible to take part in that corporation at the age of 18. That's what our law permits. Some other countries might be 21, but I know for us, for Dominica, for sure, it's 18 and above.
Right,
So for you to take part in that corporation, you have to, there are some rules that you have to follow. So in Dominica, you have to be registered. So you have to be registered. They have to confirm that yes, you are Dominican, yes, you're above the age of 18, and that's where the registration comes in. So in order to take part in this corporation and the membership and electing people to run that corporation, you must be registered. So tonight, for every shareholder that is listening to me, if you are not yet registered, get registered, because it's your business to take care of your country, of our country, and to ask for proper governance for your country and for our country as well. So if you are hearing the sound of my voice, please register. Your vote is very important in the governance of the country. You are the shareholder of the country. You decide who, what happens in that corporation. So don't be left out. Don't be left out. Don't sit back and say, oh, let the other people do it. I will just be a spectator. No, you're not helping when you do that. If you want to see change, like I tell people, if you want to see change, if you want to see anything different happening, you have to be part of the solution. You have to include yourself. I cannot do it for you. You have to come and include yourself in that solution as well.
Petra, to ask, what is the shareholders' responsibility in terms of looking at the finances and the financial report of the country, of the business?
Of the business. So the shareholders' responsibility is to ensure that the business, the corporation, is profitable. So if when the corporation send out their financials and you go for it and you saw the company or the corporation's running at a loss, hey, you have to ask questions. You have to ask questions. It's within your rights to ask questions to the people that you give to govern your corporation, and the people has to give you answers as to what is happening in the corporation, what is causing this, and then you guys sit together, or the shareholders usually give suggestions as to ways that they can improve that the company run at a profitability, because nobody wants a company to run at a loss.
Right.
If you have a corporation and it's running at a loss, then you're in trouble. So it's like the government as well of any country. You cannot run at a loss. You always have to be able to run, because you have things to take care of. You have bills, you have people to pay, you have the country to develop, and so you need finance to do that. So you have to be running at a rate where you can do these things.
So, how would you equate, how would you judge the current running of this business or Isle to also rich and where? How do you judge the running of the business as we stand right now?
Well, personally, and that's my personal opinion. That is not the opinion of TUD. That is Petrocarbon George opinion based on the last budget that was given. Um, our governance is not, in my opinion, it's not really profitable, because our budget would reflect that more than 70% of the monies that we need to run our corporation is dependent on factors that we cannot control.
Right.
So, unlike they teach us in economy, if you have any corporation that is running that corporation on factors that they cannot control, there is a chance for that you run that corporation at a loss. Most corporations, if you go into any business, they'll tell you you want to do any business that has a high demand for the service or for the product that you are offering. So I will not go and open a business if nobody wants it. If nobody wants my service, I cannot give a service that nobody wants. I have to give a service that is in demand so that I can make profit.
Okay.
And so, with our current running of our country, we are not giving anything. We are not serving anything in demand. We are not. We don't have enough product. We don't offer any services. We totally rely on things we cannot control.
Okay. So, what about the argument that, for example, in the case of the World Creole Music Festival, the argument that it wasn't meant to be a profitable venture, but the spillover um, aids other sectors of society which are not directly associated with the World Creole Music Festival.
Well, from an accounting point of view, if you're going to spend millions of dollars to do something, you have to have a return and you have to have it as a profit. So if the government is directly responsible for putting on the Creole Festival, World Music Creole Festival, I would want to think that they would want to recruit that monies that they spend and plus have some profits. And
Hmm.
plus the whole festival was to bring in revenue into the country. So we have the vendors, we have the tourism sector, we have the agro processing sectors, because when people come, they want to try our local stuff, they want to eat our local food. They need places to stay, they need vehicles. So we provide different services to our people that come in for the World Music Choral Festival. So it will indirectly benefit every shareholder. That is how the shareholders get their returns, when the country put activities together where the shareholders can benefit. So Quail
Okay.
Festival is one of the events that were to help the shareholders get something in return, that the country would put out and the shareholders would get something in return.
Okay. Now, shareholders. This is a different aspect to the management of the business. Say for example, you have a shop. As part of your shop, you're selling groceries and so on. But one of the shareholders is an electrician, qualified, able to do the work. However, you as the manager of the business decide to go to St. Lucia to hire another technician to come and do your electricals for you. How would you assess a system like that, and how should the shareholders deal with a situation like such as this?
Well, that would be a crazy illustration, because the shareholders, I believe that the shareholders would call a mini meeting, or ask for the other shareholders input on this, because the whole point is that the shareholders benefit. You cannot outsource something that you have within your own company to somebody else. I don't see them do that so in the corporate world, unless people usually do outsource things that they don't have within themselves. They don't have a choice, so they have to get it elsewhere. But if you have resources within your corporation that you can use, then that's the priority. They're right there in the corporation. Everybody wants to leave the money in the corporation. Like, you don't want to outsource your monies that you could use to benefit, because remember, the monies is a cycle.
Right,
When your shareholders, if your shareholders benefit from the proceed of the corporation, and we're looking at the corporation like a governance of a country, that person lives in that country, and that money will circulate back
back
into
into the
one
business.
of the corporation, because they have to eat, they have to pay bills, they have to send their children to school, they have to pay taxes on transportation, they pay taxes also on the service that they provide for the corporation. So the
Yeah,
money is right there, and it circulates from one person to the next.
right. Well, guess what? In this case, I was hinting at, the shareholders had to block the roads to to
Well,
get
that is a
to,
natural
get it,
reaction. That
to
is a
get it.
natural reaction. If shareholders decide to themselves, hey, we are not getting anything from that corporation, we are not benefiting from that corporation. We want to know what is happening. Things are happening. There are people within the corporation that can do the job. Why is the job given to other persons when there are people in the corporation? And so that is a natural reaction. However, as I tell people all the time, um, it's okay. People make demand. It's okay that the governance have to meet them halfway to understand why are the shareholders upset. What can we do to help the shareholders? What can we do to help with that problem? How can we get a solution to that problem? Because we want our shareholders to be happy.
Yeah, I see. This is an issue that we need to tackle head on. If it's not dealt with, because right now just give Dominicans a little grass, a little peace to deal with for the time being, until the business is over, and then what happens next? What do we do? What do we have to give our Dominicans to do? That business has to evolve. I myself have been to certain AGMs, and I have seen some of the shareholders very agitated, because the number one thing that the shareholders are interested in is their dividends, their return on their
Exactly.
invest,
The
their
return
return
on
on
investment. What
investment.
benefit I get as being a Dominican? What is my what is my benefit as being for being a Dominican? And
Right.
people might say, oh, that's selfish, that's something selfish. But no, what is my return on my investment?
So you being say for example for a company that's no longer here, for example, mapping. If you a shareholder of mapping, you want to tell Mr. Abraham what I've invested money for you to buy new vehicles and run new wires, but
Yeah,
where's
what
the
am I
money?
getting in return?
Where's the money? What's in it for us? You,
Exactly.
you promised
Even
me
when you
something,
go to the, even when we used to go to the credit union yearly meeting, annual
right?
meeting, if the credit union have any need, wants to implement any new, let's say any new law, any new anything they need to implement, they usually bring it out to get a feedback of the shareholders.
Right.
And even when they don't keep the meeting, they would publicize the whatever they were going to change over and let people know in advance. So if you have any issue, that you could bring it up to management, because we are the shareholders of the credit union. The
Mhm.
money that they used to give to other people is somebody else's money, because the credit union in itself don't have did not have any money to begin with. They rely on the people putting in their saving their money, and then they use that saving to lend to other people in return, to get a higher interest on that money. And so if you're using my money, I want to know what am I going to get for you using my money, and that is where interest come in and dividends come into play, because everybody wants something in return.
Do we have proper management, transparency, and accountability in this Dominica Corporation?
Well, from my own
And I'm
view,
getting
from
yes.
outside looking in, I would have to say no. I first of all, I would say no, because I heard somebody ask a question not too long ago to one of the executive directors in the corporation. And the person was very mad that the person asked that question and said, that's like, why do you want to ask that question? What do it have to do with you? Like, what I do in the corporation, how is it any interest to you? Like, it's something personal. The person was asking. The person was asking about the the corporation and how the funds are being used in the corporation. We want to know how the funds are being used in the corporation, and we want an account of every monies that is used from that project. We want to see a breakdown on it, how it's used. And the person was, the director was mad. Can you imagine you having a company and you're asking the person that working for you how
What
your money is being spent,
are we
and the person
spending my money?
tax it?
I say, who are you to come and ask me how I spending your money? Go and sit down.
Exactly.
Go and sit down.
Nice. So that is what I'm saying. Like, the shareholders of Dominica have to understand that they have a right to demand answers from the executive directors, and that they put to govern the corporation. They are entitled to that. They have a right to it. It's their right, and they should demand it. So
Okay.
I would say one of those days I had to well, I have not done it yet, but I say I wanted to ask somebody in the legal aspects in the corporation, if there is a law that says before the term of an election for the corporation, because every corporation have a term where the people that acting on the board, they have a number of years that they stay to serve. And
Mhm.
then you have the election, like the credit union, you have the elections. I'm not sure how many, every, if it's every 2 years or every 3 years they have election for the credit union board. So when they choose different people to run the corporation for them.
Yes, yes, yeah.
And so is our Dominica on a whole as a corporation. It's not a one person thing. It's, you have a term that you run, and then the shareholders come and evaluate your work, and they say it's like a report card. They watch your work and they say, okay, yes, I think this person is doing a good job. I think they're meeting the requirements, the mission of our corporation. Okay, yes, we can keep them for another term. I think they're doing a good job. So you have to have a report card to evaluate that person, that executive, to see whether or not they're doing a good job in the corporation. So the shareholders are very, very important, because if you leave your company without paying any interest in it, then the directors will take over.
And with that said, the time we're almost halfway through our program, and I want to make sure that we leave enough time for Brother Bruno, Professor
Yes.
Bruno, to come in. So, any final takeaways from this on this topic?
Yes. So my urge to Dominicans, the shareholders of Dominica, we know that any day we might have a situation where the executive directors of Dominica, of the corporation, wants to know whether or not that they are doing a good job, and they want to know if you will elect them again to continue to run the corporation. So it's very important that all shareholders go out to give their votes. Go out and vote. Choose who you think is the best representative to run your corporation. Because if you don't and you leave it for chance, there are consequences when we leave things for chance. So
Mhm.
do not leave it for chance. Go out, get registered from the Wednesday. I think everything should be back to normal. Go out, those who just get 18 years or getting 18 years during the month of November, go out and register so you could take part in electing new members or previous members to run the corporation and the governance of our country called Dominica.
Folks, the with that, we just want to remind you that this is the Team Unity Clean Slate program. And the topic today are who are Dominica shareholders. In this first segment, we delved a little bit as compared the shareholders of Dominica to a business. The shareholders or the voters of Dominica and Dominica as a corporation or a business, and the benefits of being an active participant in the running the affairs of that business we call Dominica. In
Yes.
this next segment, we're going to delve in a little bit in the international politics, and we will be bringing on Professor Bruno, who
Yes.
will give us a insight as to what's going on right now. Now that some of the poll are just closing, and
Yeah.
I'm assuming some of the reports will be coming in as to who's winning well, what's going on. So let's just take a break, and we will be right back, so you could get a little more of the Team Unity Clean Slate program.
There is nothing which is wrong with the country that a new government cannot fix. It is time for a new start, a fresh beginning, new direction, people-centered leadership. That's why Team Unity Dominica introduces the Clean Slate, a new political direction for the current political era. The Clean Slate, an idea built on new and progressive energies based on what is best for Dominica and Dominicans. The Clean Slate, the platform for a new and progressive political coalition. The Clean Slate, uniting the partisan colors with a message of renewal and hope.
Welcome back, folks. And we have with us Professor Alex Bruno. Alex, you're muted, so do us a favor and unmute your mic. And good evening and welcome to being on the program for the first time since we started the Clean Slate.
Yeah, well, good night. It's good to be here. Thanks for the invitation. I look forward to more and more invitations to talk about not just American politics, But Dominican politics, I'm quite keen in appearing and in adding my voice. I'm looking forward to the 30 minutes that we have together. That's not enough time, but I will take that. Um, I want to give my sister and my family, Petra, some big props. And I love the angle she's taking with her conversation about the cooperation and the government of the country is owned by the people, and people are elected to serve in the executive of that business. And that is so true. With a little nuance, because even if the private corporations run based on the market and profitability, it is the government that provide the incentives for the profits to be made. So
That's right.
the government as a corporation has a major role to play to make
That's
sure that
right.
the country is liquid so that private corporations can make money. So Petra is so right about what everything she said. You may not necessarily make a profit on government as a government, but the profit comes from your private sector, and that's where the country is doing well. So Petra, I think you hit this one out of the park, and I would like to encourage you to continue on that line because that's very educational, it's very informative, and it takes the conversation to the ordinary person. So that's very, very genius. Good move. So I thought I would mention that even before Carlos start interrogating me. And another thing in Petra is you spoke about the people and the ownership of the country, and in TUD's constitution, Article 3, Section 1, it actually says every Dominican citizen who is 18 years and older can claim to be a member in TUD.
Oh, okay.
Every Dominican 18 and over is a member because the party is an outfit for the people, a connection, a bridge between the people, the citizens, and the authority. So that's in the Constitution, Article 3, Section 1. And so it ties in to exactly what you said. So, I mean, again, very genius with your statements. And that's a kind of fresh approach I would like to encourage when it comes to the political discourse in Dominica. I haven't heard any politician discuss it like this. And I've heard many great politicians from Dominica do it. I mean, Ruzi got close to doing that, but I think you hit the nail on the head when you kind of enlighten every citizen as owning share in the corporation called Dominica. And if the executives are not doing their work, guess what? The people should fire them.
Put them out. You
Fire
fire.
them.
That's what you do. If somebody's not performing on your job, you send them home.
That's it. So, Carlos, I really like that. I love that. I love the intellectual nature of the conversation, and also the basic. It's anybody could understand it. And again, more cheers and more praises to Sister Petra and you, Carlos, for initiating this discussion, for the way in which you presented it, and for the tone of it all. All right. Now that I've said that, you can go ahead and pepper me with questions.
Well, tell us what's going on right now. Where are we? And, have there been returns coming in as we speak? Are
Yeah,
you
I'm
monitoring what's
seeing,
going on?
Well,
How? What's the outlook as we speak?
um, I don't look at the returns. I look at the entire picture because it's early days now, and I'm not too sure whether we're going to have a decision tonight. I think Indiana and Kentucky were the first two states to go out with preliminary results, 3, 4, 5%, maybe more than that now. And we expect those states to poll to be very, very red, very, very, very red. I think both states were above 80% in terms of support for the Republican Party. So that was the earliest set of information that I saw. But other states will come in and the picture will be different because Kentucky and Indiana, they are not toss-up states, they are red states. So what we are seeing coming in now in the opening salvo is just what they are. But when the other states start coming in, like Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, we will see a kind of a different kind of complexion. Texas, LA, New York, things will even up a bit more. So it's too early to even start calling it in terms of what is happening with the results.
Okay. But I was looking at one of, well, if you're hearing any noise in my background, I have one of the the news networks playing, and I was monitoring off and on. But however, in part of the discussions, they were talking about states that you can already call. So based on the number of votes needed, I think it's 270 from the electoral college, and probably you can tell us a little bit about that and how it works and so on. But they were already dividing out the votes for the electoral college for both candidates.
Yeah. Well, the media will do that. The media finds things to create content, and they will kind of create scenarios and say, well, this state is red, this state is blue. We can put those votes in that column. So that candidate wants that amount of votes. That's pretty much what they're doing. But the votes are not yet in to populate the colleges yet. Okay, so the Electoral College was created in 1887 as a means of electing the President of America.
Okay.
Back then, the people in the states said that they know best and they will be the best person or best group of people to elect the president. So the states were the ones electing the president. And they created a college which gave every state an equal number of votes per representative in the government to decide who becomes the president. That is the first branch electing the people to serve in the second branch, because they didn't trust that the popular vote by the people would be the best way. So instead of going the popular vote route, as we do in Dominica, they said, let's do the electoral college so that we, the states, have the right and the authority to elect who serves in the second branch so we can control that process. And that's what America has in place since. The electoral college is the tool which is used to elect the president. When you vote in America for president, you don't vote for the president. In a popular contest, you vote for a college to certify your vote for a president. So American citizens do not directly vote for the head of the administration of the country. They vote for a college. Now, the members of the college initially were appointed by the states, as I said before. But right now, Carlos and Petra, the electoral college members are appointed by the parties. So essentially, the parties are the ones who are voting for the people who become president on our behalf. On our behalf. So Florida would have 29 members of the electoral college, electors, how they are addressed in the Constitution. 29 for the Republican Party and 29 for the Democrat Party. So each party elects 29 people to go to cast votes on behalf of the party in that constituency. So if, let's say tonight, it is expected that, let's say the Republican win Florida, the Republican College of Electors will proceed to cast the vote on behalf of the Republican Party. So it's the party that votes for the president, and we vote for the party to vote for the president in America. If it sounds confusing, it probably is. And that's just how the system has been from the beginning. And there are some who are saying, let's get rid of the college. Let's have a popular contest where the majority of people who vote for somebody becomes president. And that is a problem, because if you do that, you're going to have a few states, a handful of states voting for the president.
Yeah,
Florida,
because of the
New York,
population.
California, Texas,
Yeah.
the populated states will vote, and the people who are contesting elections will only go to the populated states to spend all their money. And the smaller states like Rhode Island, even New Jersey and these states would not get as much business because they don't have very many electoral, even Kentucky, that has about maybe 8, Indiana, 11 electoral votes. They would not get much of the business. So you find last in 2016, Mrs. Clinton won the popular vote, but who won the election? Number 45.
Yeah.
So the college was said to be a more fair way of electing the president, where more states have a say in deciding who becomes president. Had it not been so, only the big states and the Democratic Party would have been winning most of the presidency in America. And the presidencies that they have won popular support as well. And those that they have lost, in some cases, they won popular vote, even while they lose the electoral college vote. So that, in a nutshell, is what the electoral college is about. Some like it, some don't like it, but that's the way the framers have it. For it to be changed, somebody must come with a different idea. Changing it for a popular vote, may not be the cure, because as I said, there are downside to that as well. But
Yeah.
there must be a conversation as to, if we're taking that out, what we're going to put to replace it. And herein lies the problem. I hope that makes sense, Carlos and Petra.
Yeah, it makes some sense. So it can still be considered first past the post system.
So in total, how many is 207? What's the total? Jude?
270. You need 200.
70, 270.
Yes,
Yes.
votes to get to be president. Now,
Yeah.
there's a lot of matrix, if nobody gets that, I mean, we don't really have to get into that tonight, and that might sound too teachy or too lectury, but there is a matrix if nobody gets to that. But somebody's going to get to 270. It hardly ever is a case where somebody does not get that. And that represents the majority of electoral college votes. And there are some candidates who have gotten super majorities, 300, 320, 312, 304. I think tonight could be a night like that, where one candidate could get a supermajority, or it could be close. I wouldn't be surprised if either of the two candidates get a supermajority, or at least a big overwhelming majority, because the polls have been showing that this thing has been close. I
Yeah.
don't think it is as close as the polls have made it out to be. I think the reality on the ground will hit eventually tonight or tomorrow, and show one candidate clearly, the more competitive candidate over there. It could be
Yeah.
either Ms. Harris, or it could be number 45.
And I see persons are okay. Go ahead, Petra. Anything else? I just blank out there a second.
Okay. You mean you see people talking about the electoral college or the American election? Or that's what you're going to say?
Yeah, in terms of the electoral college, though, how if we were to apply a similar system in Dominica, how would that work? How would that even be considered? That's
No, I don't think it will work in Dominica because of the way Dominica system is,
I think it's so small. Like,
Yeah, the way the first past the post system would work best, because that's what has been the case. And we are, as Petra said, we are too very tight knit, too very small for that college system to work. What
yeah.
we need to do in Dominica is we need to even out the constituencies. So
Yes.
you cannot have Maho with 3,000 votes and St. Joseph with 1,000 votes or 800 votes. So the boundaries should be redrawn. The boundaries that we have today were drawn by the Freedom Party.
I was just going to ask you if it wasn't Miss Charles that changed the boundary of it for her
Mamo,
benefit.
for her party's benefit,
Yes.
because the Labour Party inherited this system and maintained it where there were even number of people per constituency.
Yeah.
The Freedom Party had a rough time to get into office in Dominica. They could not have won. They would not have beat Labour if they had not done what they did, first of all, to discredit Patrick John, to have a popular protest and overthrow of his government. Because, guys, Patrick John never resigned. And Parliament was called for a sitting by the opposition.
By the opposition, yes.
I mean, how could an opposition call Parliament in Dominica today to take out the present government? I mean, it's absurd. That's what was done in Patrick's time. And all of that was orchestrated by the opposition, by Ms. Charles, because she and her team found ways around the system. So long story short, when she won, a big victory in 1980,
80.
she had to maintain her electoral winning legacy. And that's where the constituency boundaries was changed. So Calibishi was together with Woodford and Wesley. She was not going to win Calibishi. She decided, okay, I'm going to move Calibishi to Pearbush.
Yes.
And Jenna Amo came in there, and I think he ended up getting that seat. He beat Rosie Douglas, who had been trying to win for the longest while. Rosie only won election in Dominica because Rosie ran on his brother's seat. But Rosie Douglas would never have won a seat on his own accord if he had not used the base of the Labour Party. His brother's old seat when his brother died in 1992 to emerge as an elected member of parliament. But Mamo had fixed up the constituencies in a way. If you put Maho, and even the
And
Roseau
also
South
Lago.
constituency.
I think Lago went to the cottage constituency as well.
Yeah, so she picked up all those seats because of the changing of the boundaries, and she put a lot of people in certain places and very few people in certain places. So it is not fair the way it is in Dominica today. For us to really do proper reform, the boundaries, the constituency must have equal numbers of people, because you cannot have one person from Vacas where there are at least 400 votes, Carlos,
Yeah.
being the prime minister of Dominica over somebody who won in Maho, who got over 1,000 something, 2,000 votes. That is not proportional representation. It doesn't make a lot of sense when you talk about it in the way in which people talk about politics. But if I say that too loudly, people might think I am criticizing Dominica. No, I'm not. I'm saying that if we're going to have reform, all of that should be part of the reform, not just talking about the list and the voters and everything else. The entire system, including the access to the media, the campaign finance, public financing of campaign, fixed date for election, and all of
Hold
that.
on, hold on, hold on,
Part
hold
of
on,
the reform.
hold on. And when you say access to the media, and it shouldn't be just be focused on DBS and GIS, It should
All,
be all media,
all
because
media.
I see people complaining about that, but they're doing it too.
So the opposition controlled media, I think, is equally as guilty, if not more guilty, of keeping the voices out. Like, our voice has not been on traditional media in Dominica. And that's the kind of voice Dominicans need to be hearing. We bring a sort of a freshness to the approach to politics that the country is not hearing of. I saw a gimmick being circulated today about some change voting thing. I don't want to make reference to that. Call attention to it. That is, it is amateurish political disinformation, disingenuous, and very sad that people can just create a mockery of the system and present things that seems to be the case. And people are sending to me and suggesting what view do I have. I'm like, no, that's a deep fake. People who have been working hard in the system to try to create an alternative sort of arrangement are being despised. Yet anybody can just pick up a computer and just create any gimmick and put it out there as public discourse. That's not how we're going to fix what's happening in our country. That's not how we're going to grow a viable alternative. That's not how we're going to defeat the incumbent. For you to create a sort of synergy for change in Dominica, the work has to be done, like we have been doing for 2 years plus. People must sit around the table and people must talk. I'm hearing murmuring about things are going to be happening in Dominica sometime in December. Carlos, when did you start speaking to the people who have interest in the alternative movement when it comes to replacing the incumbent? No, those conversations have to be had like now, and all parties should understand. I'm not saying that parties should come together, but parties should speak to see what's
Well,
going on, where you are.
what I tell people, and what I always tell people, if you put one thing I realize, and that's from my own personal observation, most people, let me just say most people don't put the needs of the people first. We have a tendency to put our needs first and what we want before what the people need. And we have to change the mindset of that as leaders, as future leaders, as people who want to represent other people. We have to meet the needs of the people. Now, we realize in Dominica that it's okay, everybody can make a party, and that's okay. Like I tell people, a business have different segments. So we have, let's say we have a business, we have the accounting department, we have the operations department, we have if it's in shipping, you have the shipping department, but it's one company. So right now we're in the point where the people on the outside looking in have all the other departments, but we cannot make it work with one department alone. We have to work intertwine each department. So the operation department working, but the accounting department have to ensure that the operation, the bills that we are paying for the operations are really getting done. And we are not just paying a bill because. So we as the people on the outside have to work together. We don't have to give up. You don't have
No,
to give up your party. You
no.
just have to work in the interest of the people, because when a company works together, they don't give up the department. The accounting department does not give up the department because it's working together with the operation department. They are still separate departments, but they have to work together in order to get things done. And that is what we are speaking about, coming together to get things done. If everybody forming a party so that they could remove the current regime, everybody forming want to remove the current regime. This means we have something in common. So we should work together to meet that common goal, because that's what everybody wants to do. So this is how we have to educate the people to see.
Yeah. Well, and you are so right. And that's what one of the things I've been advocating for. I'm not even doing it anymore because I it doesn't make much sense because people don't seem to understand the need to have conversations. And I'm not against parties. Parties are welcome. In a democracy, you can have 100 million parties. But you
Exactly.
need to be serious if you want to get into the business of contesting an election. You have to talk to other players, including the incumbent party. Any opposition party that refuses to talk to the party in power is making a colossal error. You have to
Yeah.
have conversations, say, look, talk about the things that you are doing, the things that I am doing, and try to convince people from that side that your team is the better side to do the things that we are needed for the country. Petra talk about people being selfish. And it is true. Some of the leaders of the parties that are evolving are saying that that is for their legacy. That is the thing they want to do. They want to be them first or them alone. There is no way it's going to be one party against that incumbent party in Dominica for that one party to win. So that electoral college thing we're talking about, Carlos, the systems, all of that need to be revamped. So an
Yeah.
electoral college system may not necessarily work. What we need is proportional representation, probably less constituencies, or
Yeah.
not more, maybe less, at least maybe 15 constituencies.
Yes.
You take some of the smaller ones, put into the bigger ones, and you have equal districts, and you have
Exactly.
15 people in government instead of 20.
Especially with the high rate of migration. A lot of people in certain areas left the area. So the places that used to have like probably 1,000 registered voters, probably most times if you go back now to do the survey, you'll find like 600 people there, because people have moved to either they move out of state or they move to other villages to reside. So you always have to be checking your geographic on the ground to ensure that the people representation is equal across the board.
Yeah, and they will not do that because the system, the authorities are not very, the authority is not very confident with the results that they're going to get, because the population of Dominica could be much less than 70,000 because a lot of
I
people have
know.
migrated and are still migrating. Um, and Dominica is the only country that's downsizing in population. There's no other country that shows that trait. Dominica is the only country, well, barring a couple, that is diminishing in population size. I mean,
Because especially we don't have no war, anything going on for people to leave.
exactly.
If countries, people say, oh, Haitian living, and I tell them yes, because there's distress. People are moving away because there's distress in the place. But we don't have that distress in Dominica. Our country is the best, and because I'm from Dominica, I can say that is the best in the Caribbean, and I would extend it to the world. We have every resource that they were looking for. We have it in Dominica. And it's really painful to see so much of us leaving to go and find better out
We,
there when we have everything in there.
yeah, we move to greener pastures. Petra and Carlos, Dominica is the greenest pasture.
That's right.
I, Alex Bruno, move for greener pasture or for opportunities. And you can
Opportunities.
see that I took advantage of the opportunity be-
Exactly.
because I could not have been in Dominica if I had stayed back for the past 10 years and be where I am today as a full professor.
and as a person, your personal development
and
is
in terms
very
of my
important to
personal
you.
development. So I am doing that. And am I being selfish about it? No, I am getting involved in the life of our country. I was speaking to a professor colleague of mine who follows me religiously, Heather, my dear sister and friend. In fact, she was on my hiring committee when I became a full-time professor. And she's just an amazing young lady. And she's looking and seeing everything that I'm doing. She said, Alex, is your heart still with us? Are you really with us? Or are you going to go back and be something in your country? I'm like, Heather, I am torn. My country needs me now more than ever before. And my country gave me what I have today. So I'm going to give everything back to my country. And she's following the politics so very close. So, yes, I moved. You can move as well. But move to elevate and move to help. Don't move to abandon our country. When we
Yeah.
leave our country, who going to leave our country for? For the same selfish people that have been there for so long. Dominica is a gem. We have water flowing, food. If you plant your thumb growing.
That's right.
So
Like
it's
we have
tough.
it all.
It's
We could literally survive if the outside world. I keep telling people, if the outside world has decided that they want to cut off some countries away from them, we are one of the few countries that can do without anything, because
well,
people
even
like to travel. Apart from people liking to travel, we have food. We could have food all year round. We have water all year round. We
water,
have
we
everything
have
we need.
scenery, we have beaches,
Everything we need, we
right?
have it all year round.
We can create natural products. We can do composting. We don't have to buy fertilizer. No? We can
That's what
create
I'm
manure
saying.
from everything. We have
We can grow our own, we can do our own poetry, we can do our own chicken.
we,
When I
we can
travel
do
to
them.
Barbados, that's why I tell people the reason why I'm passionate about helping Dominica is not for me. Because I could say, leave me alone where I am better off. I could say that and don't be bothered. But when I travel like places in the Caribbean, like Barbados, and I went to the supermarkets and I asked the lady about the chicken. And I tell her, do you guys import chicken? And she
No
told me,
boy,
no, we
no
don't.
boy, no boy. Bobby
All
doesn't.
chicken you see in the supermarkets are locally produced.
Yep.
The
And
only time chicken is imported into Barbados is if we have a hurricane or some disease or some sort, and then we open we open the they remove the embargo
embargo on imported
on
poultry. Yes.
imported for the chickens to come in. But she said, apart from that, and I was amazed. I was really taken aback. And I say,
And,
imagine this. Imagine Dominica having its own poultry farm where we
and
actually have farmers working to export to other countries.
and that is a policy that the government took. And that is the things that we have been speaking about. Simple little things we can do. Look at the cost of import
What?
of poultry into Dominica.
That's what I'm saying.
Calculate it in the millions of dollars a year.
Millions, millions
That we
every
have
month.
going out,
If
that
we
we remain within our economy.
so if we invest a quarter of that to develop our farm, our poultry business, the net spill off from that in terms of consuming our own
That's it.
healthier
Exactly.
poultry, we are going to be healthier people and we're going to keep the revenue in our country. A simple thing like that would make a
Exactly.
great difference. But
No,
it's
We
I
have
about
our
noticed.
own eggs, we do
now,
our own milk,
now
we
the
do our own
supermarkets are not
chicken.
going to lose business, you know. The supermarkets will not going to lose business. They're going to make more money because they're
Yes.
going to be selling organically produced poultry from Dominica
And then we're going to attract the outside other
outside market
communities now
to
to come
export
in
our
more.
products
Exactly, because they're looking for more healthier foods to eat.
because Dominica is bigger than Barbados by far. Some people believe Barbados is
Listen,
bigger, and some people believe that Barbados is bigger than Dominica. That's a joke.
nope.
Dominica is over twice and almost three times bigger than Barbados. In
Imagine this.
every way, Dominica has water rushing our shores. I have not seen
That's
a river in
true.
Barbados. No, I'm not
True.
criticizing Barbados because Barbados is beautiful. But what
Exactly.
Dominica has lends itself for the kind of poultry production more than any other country in the perimeter of Dominica.
No, let me add something to that. I noticed that the independence message, one of the concerns raised is the fact that we have too many NCDs in on island. The percentage of NCDs among the population is too high. we put the according to Petra, the directors of the company called Dominica put some measures in place to try and curb the importation of sugary drinks and so on and so forth.
No,
What are they doing
no.
on the other side? Where's
Carlos,
the encouragement?
the duty on the sugary drinks is not to stop the importation, it's to make
We
money.
know that. We know that. We know
So
that.
if they really wanted to solve the problem, they would create industries. They would create a
But
business out
what
of
people
the.
do not understand, you see, people don't understand. The thing is, the normal man don't understand demand. Because Dominica consume a lot of sodas, it is easier to put tax on something that your population consume because it's in high demand.
Or
That means
cigarettes.
your revenue will increase.
Mhm.
So everybody looking at it and people say, oh, they put it because people are drinking too much sugar.
No,
That doesn't it at all. It is the
no.
highest demand in the country
One
because
of
a
the
lot of
products that's
people.
in highest demand, so that's the easy money for
So
the
that's the
government.
easiest way to bring in income to the government for
Yeah.
taxing.
So if the government is claiming that they do that to create healthy thing, they're
That's
deceiving
not
people.
true. Because
They are
if we want to
deceiving.
create healthy thing, we would invest in our agricultural sector to
And that's
ensure that
exactly,
oranges and grapefruit are grown, limes and so are grown. And we would have factories there to make our own juice, like how Trinidad doing the guava juice. Can you imagine this? We import guava juice from Trinidad in a box to drink, and we have in Dominica right
Like
here. We cannot
we used
create anything for ourselves.
we used to have our local juices, remember Bello.
I
We don't
know.
we aren't going to go much far, we had Bello, we had um the citrus production and stuff like that. We had CMOS, Benjamin, all of these things are not being supported, agro-processing. Again,
Exactly.
but this is the kind of things we talk about in terms of doing things differently for our country. And, given the opportunity, I think we will see better economic fortunes moving forward. So Carlos and Petra, people criticize America because people don't understand America. I used to criticize America as well. Before I came to live in America, when I was at Dread, I used to call, American names, the Rastas used to call America. But when I started studying America and seeing what America is made of, I think it is interesting that we live in the Americas because at least we are right next to the power structure of the world. If the power moves from America to China or North Korea or Japan or anywhere, Russia,
Russia.
we are going to have a big void here where, the power is too far away from us. We don't have the
Yeah.
protection that we would like to have. And we have to be very careful. We can be friends to Russia, and we should be friends to Russia. Any developing country would be foolhardy not to be a friend to Russia. Well, not to Russia, to China, sorry, China. So we have to be a friend to China. We have to, work with China. But we must be very careful because if China and Russia, North Korea and the others who are trying to create this other alliance get a hold of the
BRICS.
of this world, I don't know. I'm not sure what our story is going to be. And as a small island developing state, we don't have population of scale to even cause a problem for China. China will just use us as one of the stepping
On,
stones
on.
for its movement.
Yeah.
Brazil can talk about things. Mexico, but Dominica with 70,000 people, that's one
Yeah.
little. That's one.
70,000 people, but remember, in the 70,000 people, we don't have that workforce of 70,000 people in there
No,
that
about
can make
15,
demand.
20,000 people, yeah. And that is just a joke. I mean, that not a joke, but it's like a blimp, a little touch. It's like one game. I went to a football game. I think, was it Brazil, Argentina, Brazil, somebody. I can't remember the name. We're two Latin American countries. And there were 74,000, whatever people in the stadium. And I'm sitting there in awe with real serious culture shock. And I'm saying, Weboji, wow. More people than Dominica ever has in one stadium, shouting like crazy. And I'm there like just trying to work with the moment. I cannot hear myself in one stadium. So we think that we are a sovereign nation. But I think sometimes our government make people believe that we are doing so much better than we really are doing. We are not doing very well in Dominica because we are not reaping the benefit. We can do great. We can be a power, a superpower, but we have to export our water. We have to bring foreign investment into Dominica. We have to embrace agriculture. We have to sell food. Water is more expensive than oil.
Yep.
How much is a bottle of water in Dominica? How much is a gallon of oil? A pot of oil. So we have too much water sweetened in the sea, or water should be going in bulk, in containers, in spring form, whatever the case might be. We should have like 3 or 4 serious water bottling plants in Dominica instead of exporting so much water from the outside in. And this is the things that we speak about, guys. You can say that in our training in terms of what we want to do for our country. And as soon as the nation knows about our plan, the nation will embrace our plans. And, if God is on our side, we will form the government of Dominica with whoever wants to form the government with us. But we will have a major say in terms of what goes on for the life of our people moving forward. And that's where TUD is. And I'm so proud to be part of it. I know I'm not a politician in it with you guys, but I am in the scene. I'm one of the founders of the movement. And I'm here to support you in any way. So just call me. Let me know what we're talking about, and let's campaign. That's
yes.
Me.
And with that being said, we like 7 minutes past the hour of our usual hour, and we don't want our viewers and supporters to feel like we're taking most of the time tonight. So we want to thank them for being with us and viewing, and those who will view after. And we want to encourage you to continue to work with us, to follow us on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram, and communicate with us. Let us talk as to how we can find solutions to the problems that we are facing in Dominica, because it's not always okay to just say the problems and don't give the solution. It's always better to come up with solutions to solve the problems. And as we close in again, I just read on Facebook earlier today that a minister of government in Antigua, yes, as the Michael. Yes, he is not here among us anymore, and so we want to send our condolences to the family and friends of Mr. Ascot Michael, and our prayers are with you. We know it's a very difficult time right now, and so we just want to let you know that we are grieving with you as well, in spirit.
Yeah. Senseless, very, very senseless. It affected us in a major way. It shook me as well.
Because we have a lot of Dominicans residing in Antigua.
Yeah.
That are affected.
So that is terrible. I hope the perpetrator of what appears to be homicide, the perpetrators or perpetrator are caught, and that they are given the best treatment of the law. We cannot promote violence in any way, shape, or form. And Brother Michael did not deserve to leave this earth in that particular manner. So my heart goes out to him and his family. And I really ask the Almighty to give them the strength to deal with this. We also lost a brother, Papi, Leonard Papi Baptist.
Yeah, I saw you did a big up to Papi on your audio.
Yeah, man. I think the Almighty called me to do it at the time I did it, and Papi left us maybe a month or two after that. So
yes, I remember going to Rosa and having Papi have his big speaker, his big thing speaking. And so
he's an asset of our politics, Some people didn't understand Papi, but Papi, I understood him, what he meant, and he was a businessman as well. Brought a lot of business into Dominica. Yes, and Brother Simzi also left us, another prominent businessman and a dear friend again, So Carlos, the nation is ripening. We're getting of age. And we need to move. Some people believe that we have a lot of time. They can have one party in power for 24 years and maybe another 5 years, another 5 years. We don't have that time. We're playing games with our country now. To have one person control our country for 24 years is just too much. It's time that we move. But again, moving means that we must move together. So foolishness like what I saw earlier on, well, I shouldn't call it foolishness. But things like what I saw earlier on and stuff like that need to be addressed properly. Let's have conversations, guys, as to what is best for our country, not for your party or for your group. And that's what TUD is about. And guys, when you're calling me on the program, give me my full time and I kind of half-hour thing, it won't work for me. All right. Or just don't call me back.
Okay, Professor. Okay, Professor.
I gotta finish that now. No
Okay,
stop.
guys, well, thank you for viewing. And next time we'll give Professor his whole hour. We won't cut him short. And we thank you. And we are a party for the people. We put the people needs first. And so if you're interested in putting the needs of the people first, we call that we join together and work together as one for the betterment of our country, Dominica.
And with that, I just want to give a shout out to two persons who commented on the live. That is Bernadette Wilkinson and Anelta Wallace Robin, who said that they're looking. Thank you for looking at our program, and all the others who have been looking and those who will look after. Thank you for looking at the program. As Petra said a while ago, feel free to reach out to us. TUD is all engaging.
Yeah, man. And that is my loving sister from Calibishi. I love her to the max. I'm happy that she's there. She always supports me in everything that I do. And the interesting thing about Nanette, the last I checked, she belongs to a different party, a party affiliation. But that does not change her love for me and the way she sees Dominica. She's a very progressive person. And Carlos, I suspect if we have a candidate in Calibishi, it would do well. And anyway, let me not say too much. And I'll say I love you. Mwah. It was nice to see you. Yeah.
Good evening, folks. Stay tuned for another episode of The Clean Slate.
There is nothing which is wrong with the country that a new government cannot fix. It is time for a new start, a fresh beginning, new direction, people-centered leadership. That's why Team Unity Dominica introduces the Clean Slate, a new political direction for the current political era. The Clean Slate, an idea built on new and progressive energies based on what is best for Dominica and Dominicans. The Clean Slate, the platform for a new and progressive political coalition. The Clean Slate, uniting the partisan colors with a message of renewal and hope.